Hello, darlings. Here we are again with Beer Grilled Skinny. I'm Justine, the mother of this team, and Lorianne, my beautiful daughter, is here with me. And what we kind of thought about were today was everyone has a tale to tell, and one that Lorianne has to tell. Black Saturday was one of the hardest of my life and probably one of the hardest of hers.
Well, for me, it got harder after it happened, but let's go back to the beginning. So, the husband said, if you come down to Australia to live, we won't have any disasters because he knew that I had lived through tornadoes and we have hurricanes and all sorts of natural disasters, earthquakes. I also lived through one of those. Like, the only good thing about you guys, if you ever want to be surviving a disaster, apparently I'm who you need to be next to.
Yeah, that earthquake was something else.
I know, I'll never forget how my best friend and I, so she was living with my mom and I at the time, and we ran down the stairs and did everything wrong. We ran into the kitchen, and then we're like, we'll go over to the Vons, which is a grocery store in California, and we were like, we need to get stuff, as though when a earthquake hits, you won't have any kind of issues with the stores and the infrastructure.
Not only that, you're not supposed to get up and run downstairs into the kitchen where things fall out of the cabinets and break. But, you know, when you're in a panic, you don't remember all the rules.
Exactly. So when the fire came, Black Saturday in Australia. Okay, so back to how my husband said, hey, if you come down here, there won't be any disasters. And then we were sitting there, and he got this gut feeling. We were sitting there in the morning, so he had work to do because he's an electronics engineer, and he had some cards that he needed to work on. And I don't know what the official title is for these cards, but they involve electronics, and he was making them for opening and closing doors. And he was supposed to be working on that. And our friend of his came over and said, we need to work on the house because we were also renovating a house. And he suddenly goes, you know, I'd like to go to the store and get stuff to make this house prepared for a bushfire. And his friend and I were like, what in the world are you talking about? Your timing on this is very, very bizarre and strange. Well, then our neighbor came over and said, hey, about 35 kilometers from here, there is a bushfire
Ooh.
that's on its way.
Ooh.
Exactly. And so I was like, hey, I'm good for going to the store. And let me tell you, this store didn't make it through the bushfire.
Did it not?
No. We got the stuff. We came home.
Where was it? Was it in Hazeltine?
No, it was further than that. It was in...
Wow.
I can't remember the name of the town. It wasn't Whittlesea. It was a town in between. And it... I don't know how the people fared, but that town got hit really hard. It got hit harder than we did. So I was running around like a chicken with her head cut off. I managed to punch myself in the leg with a piece of wood.
Chicken with its head cut off reminds me of my mother, Beer Grilled Skinny. I know, but she was known to cut the head off and then let them run around till they fell down.
Well, and that's kind of what I did. I didn't fall down, but I did run around. One of the things I did that was kind of silly was I emailed my mom and I said, oh, we might have a fire coming our way. Now, keep in mind, we didn't know the fire was going to get there. We just thought the fire might come our way. And I wanted her to know, hey, I'm good. We're making the roof to where it'll put water on the house and we'll be fine. And don't worry. Because that's what you always tell your mother. course they listen. Oh yeah, I'm not worried at all. He fixed up the roof amazingly with the water. The night came. It was pretty intense, I gotta tell you. Our friend left. He left almost too late, to be perfectly honest.
Did you know that when he left?
No, we did not. Other people ran away. But Australia has the. Okay, I'll probably have to explain this for our United States friends. So in Australia, they have this policy of you just stay and defend. You defend your own home. You don't need to worry about leaving. But some people do decide to leave, and 5 homes out of a road that had roughly 25 homes survived. And the 5 homes that survived were the ones that we defended with our neighbor. It was quite intense. They didn't even get the instructions correct. They were like, you might be under ember attacks. Well, we were already on fire when they said that. The fire department did not come down our road. They did not come to save us. They claimed that they came to save us, but they did not come to save us. We saved ourselves. My husband thought we were going to die, and so he made this little SD card of all the pictures of what the fire looked like, and was ready to put it in this waterproof thing to stick it in our tub, which had plenty of water in it. But he never told me until after the fire happened. Actually, when I found that out, I sat there. It was like 10 in the morning, and I'm like reading because he wrote it down on a social forum. And I'm reading, and I'm like, I think I'm going to have a beer at 10 in the morning. It seems like a good idea. It was intense. And to be fair, I have never let him live it down. Mr. We don't have disasters in Victoria.
Well, I'm going to say I was in a panic. I couldn't help it. Obviously, the news in the U.S. wasn't covering it as well as I wanted it to be covered. Mm-hmm. I watched them show what they did have, and it was such a fierce fire. Mm-hmm. I mean, turning things so black.
Oh, I'll never forget the point where my husband thought we were going to not make it. We were in what's called a gully, and so there were mountains. There was a mountain, then there was another mountain that was a bit higher, then another mountain that was a bit higher, and the fire came over that mountain, and it was about 200 feet in the air. And
the fire was 200 feet?
Yes. It was 200 feet in the air, headed towards us. And he was like, to himself, until he posted it later on social media, he was like, oh, we're going to die. And then he didn't tell me because he didn't want me to worry. So I'm running around going, woohoo, we got this covered. This is what we do in Australia. I was like, at one point, embers hit my hair, and I'm like, oh, honey, throw the water on my hair because I'm getting hit. Okay, to make this clear, we had only been married 2 years, and I was still dumb enough to think that my husband told me the truth about everything that happens.
So what did he do about the embers on your head?
He aimed the water at me.
He's so kind.
Isn't he? And amazingly, my hair didn't burn off of my head. But when I read what he thought was going to happen, it's a case of getting terrified after the fact.
Yeah. Yeah, because y'all showed me the pictures, and when I look at them even now, there's terror in that.
There really is. I mean, he took some really magnificent pictures. I will never forget when the next day we're out there going, yay, We had this neighbor, so there were several neighbors. Everyone left except us and one neighbor because I guess we're the stupid ones.
Was that James?
Yes, James. He was a neighbor, and he was walking around with a gas mask. And one of the things I love about him is he had 2 cats, and he stuck them in a cage when the fire was coming and put oxygen, actual oxygen, so that they could breathe while he was out fighting the fire. They both lived. Then he came over with his gas mask and made us tea inside of our car. I think the most terrifying part for me was when one of the reasons we lived is because we had a car, and the air conditioner of the car, when you ran it, filtered out the smoke. And at some point, we fell asleep in the car. And then I woke up, and my husband was not there.
Mm.
And I went into the bedroom, and he was sleeping in there. And I needed to check and see if he was breathing. It was absolutely terrifying. I was way past worrying about what my mom thought. I'm sure she was terrified because up the street, 5 people died. 2 of them died in their driveway. And when I found that out, friends of ours thought it was us because it was a couple who died in their driveway. And I was really concerned that Mom would be freaking out over the idea of us dying, which is really not the focus I should have had. I should have just been like, I'm alive, she'll get over it. But here we are.
It's interesting when you say that, back to the fire that was 200 feet above the mountain. When I was growing up, our house faced the Blue Ridge Mountains, the Skyline Drive, and that caught on fire because an airplane crashed into it. And my brother went to fight it because of not wanting it to come over the mountain and down into the valley where we lived. And I look back at that thinking about, our home was not as close to the mountain as y'all's was. But the fear, sitting out on the back porch and just constantly watching and seeing fire on the ridge of the mountain, and then thinking about where you were with fire not only on the ridge of the mountain, but coming over the mountain. It's a scary thing.
It was very scary because first we saw it on the mountain, and then spot fires started. And pretty soon, so it skipped past our house to the other mountain that was near us, and it surrounded us. There was a point where we went and looked at the street and we're like, there's nothing left.
If you wanted to leave, you couldn't.
Oh, there's a point where you can't leave, and as soon as the fire's coming, you can't leave. But what got me was it seemed like we were the only ones that were left. And so you go from the fire far away, headed your way, somehow. So I want to revert back to that morning. My husband was supposed to be working on his electronic cards. And he decided this was a good day. And let me add in that it was like 90 degrees outside. And this was before the guy came to tell us there was a fire. He just suddenly woke up and went, I'd kind of like to make this house fire safe. And that is why I love my husband, in spite of the fact that he told me there were no disasters in Melbourne, Australia. This is a subdivision. Is that what you call it?
I would, yeah.
It's out in the backwoods.
It's not a planned one. Just
it's called Flowerdale, and just has random people living there. And he had found this house there, and we were living there because I wanted him to finish fixing it up so we could go on with our lives. And here we are.
You went on with your lives.
We did.
And then the reporter came out.
Oh, yes. The next day, they hadn't quite closed everything off yet. This was pretty amusing. This reporter comes out and wants to know how we survived. So there I am on national television in Australia with my southern accent talking about how, well, we just decided to defend ourselves. And my husband is like, yeah, it was rough. And of course he has to be funny and talk about all the snot that was coming out of his nose. We also saved a neighbor's house. One of the most amazing things I ever saw was we were next to what Australians call a river, and here in America we call that a creek. And there was this kangaroo. This moment, we were trying to put out a fire at our neighbor's house, and I was running to get the water, and my husband was dumping the water, and I had this moment where I saw this kangaroo, and it stopped and looked at me. And by the way, kangaroos can be very scary, but this one looked at me and then went and jumped in the river, creek,
Yeah.
and lived. There's a mixture of amazing and horror. Having 5 people die in their driveway. But I'm all excited because a kangaroo lived. Because that's how I roll.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that people die, but I'm glad we didn't die.
Yeah.
And it was kind of fun
And
getting interviewed by national news.
And you were talking about saving James's place. Now, on the other side was the woman who grew weed. What were they up to?
They left.
Okay, and nothing happened to their place.
No, that's the one I was saving when the kangaroo came by.
Oh,
Their place
okay.
would have totally burned down if we hadn't downed. Their place would have totally burned down if we had not saved it.
Okay.
They left thinking there was nothing to come back to. In fact, the next day, our friend that left early went to the safe house that they were in, and they had all seen the news that someone died in their driveway. A couple died in their driveway. And she ran away from him because she thought we were dead, and she didn't want to be the one to tell him.
Bless her heart.
I know. She's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
I wish you could have... Well, you met her.
I did meet her.
Yeah.
She's funny.
Very funny.
She didn't know about talking about the weed to me, even though it's just growing high as it could possibly grow.
Well, it was legal.
Yeah.
For the record, if anyone's interested, it was legal to grow weed in your own yard as long as you didn't grow too much. We won't even get into that time that I had some weed and it was bad. Had to be carried back to my house by 2 men. I learned a lesson that day, y'all. But there was no weed involved when we were fighting the fire. That fire was intense. It was, I'm not trying to make light of it. It was a horrible, horrible thing. That's why they call it Black Saturday. But we survived because we survive everything. So if a natural disaster is coming, you should come around to my husband and I, because we will survive.
Yes. Yes, you will. Yep. Even the flooding here in Newbern.
Well, yeah. That hurricane?
I know.
Well, that's a whole different story. Have y'all heard of Hurricane Florence? Well, we might cover that in an episode very soon. In the meantime, if you've ever been through a natural disaster and you would like to share that with us, I would be very interested.
Me too.
Please comment, subscribe, like, if you want more content like this. Thank you so much.
Here's to the laughter, and here's to the tears. In every moment together, we conquer our fears. With dreams in our hearts and the world in our sight, we're beer grill skinny, ready